Okay, I've been asked by my management to create an intranet. Microsoft came out and uh, told us that we could create intranets with Office 365 and that it was really easy. So I've done a little, watched a couple of videos from Microsoft and stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. I guess what I do is I go down to there's SharePoint, and I go in and create a site, and we're going to do a communication site. And I'll put in the site name and and I'm going to do the topic one. You have several different types of templates, and I'll just hit finish. And I now have my communication site. Okay, and it looks like it's already got uh, these things. I think it's called the Hero Web part that I could put links into. News is right here. Events is here too, and it looks like I can add event. I wonder if anybody can just add events or news. It would be cool just people to submit news or put their own news articles in. There's documents. Looks like there's a document library on here too, and maybe we could put our policies or something like that on there as well. So the first thing that I also want to do is I want to just test and see how easy it is to create like a department subsite that goes with this. So I'm going to go and actually create a new site here. And it looks like, oh, I can't do it there. What I've got to do, oh, I remember. I can create a subsite of this if I wish. And I need to go to site contents. And I could go in and say, create a new subsite right there. And it will come up and ask me, what kind of site. I think I'm going to do a new team site, and I'll call it department and so on. I can pick some things here about what I want the navigation. Do I want it to display this site in the parent navigation? Yes, and so on. And so I'll fill in this thing and hit create. Okay, and it's created a subsite with departments, and look, it's got news and activity and everything ready to go. Now I'll need to change something because I don't know how to get back up to that communication site here. I'll just go back here and do that. Okay, and let's see. Maybe I want to just let's test some things here. Um, I'm going to put in a news article. This looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to go add a news article. Add. Be nice if people could add news items. I'll just say test news, and I'll just say free beer bash Friday. Like that. I don't know if the company would do that, but uh, there. And I'm going to put an image in, and I'm going to upload that image. Sponsored by Heineken. Okay, there we go. And I'll just go in and say, put some verbiage on here is free beer bash on the rooftop Friday at 4 p.m. Okay, and I'm going to post this news item. Okay, so now I come back and there's my news item right there as well. I could also create events and I could put some links in here and I could add some other things. I got documents here. I don't know if I want those display on the front page, especially if some of them should be shared with certain people because this shares with everybody here. So I need to understand what I can do with this. Now, the other thing is I did create that other subsite here. And so if I go to, I'm going to go to the department. I'm going to open it in another page here. And I think you can set it up where if I put in a news item down here, it will, bring it up to the top. So I'm going to add a news item in the department. And I'm going to do a test here. I'm just fooling around, so let's just see if what happens. I'll put in the CEO's mother has a mustache. Okay, so let's say you got somebody in a department that's just a jokester here, and got a perfect thing. Because I just want to see if we had a disgruntled employee or whatever, what kind of control do we have over this stuff? So I'm going to add the image, and we'll add another set of text here, and we'll say, okay, put that in. I'm going to post that news. Okay, now from what I understand, number one, so there it is. It shows up on the department here. So, and I'm not, I might not be in control of the content on that department. So let's go back up to our communications site. And I just want to see, because I had also heard that the news here can roll up from other departments and as well. So I'm going to edit the page, and I'm going to, I don't know, let's see, I guess I have to go into the web part. Oh, and I'll say I want to get the news from selected sites, and I'm going to say get it from that department there. And there's sites all over the place. I mean, you can show it from any site, and it'll just roll up everything in the news from that site, which is pretty cool. And that means that it's not just relying on the news put in up here, that it can come from all parts of the organization. So with that, I'm going to say, let's do that, and let's publish this. Oh, there's the department one. Okay. Now the scary thing is I didn't get to approve this as the content manager up at the top site here. It just came up here. So I think the first thing that we're going to do is, well, first of all, I'm just going to switch it back to the Heineken one. Since I don't know, I mean, I guess it's either or. You either roll up or you have the news up here. You can't do both. But, if this is put on here, number one, I didn't get a chance to approve it. It just showed up here. And second, let me go see if I can actually, I don't know how to delete this out there. And so not quite sure how I do this. I mean, the only thing I can do is, I guess, shut down the page or get rid of this web part. I mean, I'm kind of stuck right here as well. So, but let me go down here to the department. Sorry, kind of weird there. You wouldn't want your users to go to subsites. So we'll just go to the department. And I need to figure out how to get rid of this. So let's see, I don't see any, maybe site contents. I don't see a dashboard or anything for me to take that off. Now, and that's if I have access to this department. I'm the content manager, and I normally wouldn't even be able to go in and do this. And so I read that you can actually, that the news articles are stored in site pages. That's how you have to go in there. So you have to actually go into the back end of SharePoint and site pages to get to this. And there it is. I want to delete it. And oh, this is scary. That's the home page, ASPX page. So I can get to that as the content manager. So, if Mary at the front desk is doing your content, or somebody in your communications department is doing that, they could literally potentially delete the home page. And so what I mean by the home page is, okay, if I open this up, that's the home page of the site. And so they're actually, this is kind of concerning, they're actually putting all these news articles in the same library as our system site pages out there. Well, anyways, I'm going to go out and see if I can delete this. Okay, now again, that's assuming I can actually get to this department and delete this. So I guess I go here, I hit delete. And yes, we need to delete that. Okay, and by the way, this is how I have to manage news on the other pages too. So with that, if I go back to the department here, okay, I see that's been removed from there, but let's see if it's been removed from the communications site too. And it's still showing up there. Okay, I mean, I'm going to be in big trouble as the internet content manager. Okay, let me just renew it, and it's still up there. Okay, I have a suspicion it also might show up over in the SharePoint main site. Oh yeah, there it is. It's there too for everybody to see in the home site of all of SharePoint. And I removed that. And so the time frame in between, there's my Heineken one, it's still sitting out there. And this is scary out there. It's scary because I didn't have a chance to approve it from this department. And second, I didn't, it showed up in several places of activity there. And so this could be a nightmare. I mean, this really could be a nightmare in that there is no content management, in other words, approvals or governance. I can't determine when things appear on the site. Also, it appears that everything from that subsite comes up. And if it's, let's say, an IT department, it could be not only an announcement that is relevant to the whole organization, but it could be something, about bits and bytes for the IT team, and it still rolls up to the top site. So there's not even any kind of filtering or, choice in that. And this is really, and this, by the way, there's a lot of the same things with events and other things. There's no content management. I have to go into the back end of SharePoint to manage anything. And there's no control over who can do what adding content. So this is where it's really a nightmare. So at this point, I think we were looking at SP Marketplace's approach. I think I'm going to look at this because this seems like I can build some really great pages and stuff, but the whole content management, the governance, it's like a shell of an intranet that doesn't allow you to do what really it takes to manage content in an intranet. Bottom line is, I was kind of disappointed in the whole, basic SharePoint sites, both the communication sites and the team sites, and how they work together and so on. It just left a lot of holes open that could get us into trouble. The idea was great, how the new pages are built is great, but I kind of, I set myself up to my management of saying, no, don't buy something, we can build it. And literally what happened is I got caught when we were doing some testing of what I had built out with all the open issues that really aren't addressed in it. So the first thing is, as we saw, I thought that we could just have news come up to the main site from anywhere, and plus we could put news in at the top site. Maybe our communications director wants to put some new news in, and you must either choose between getting the top site news or have it load up from the department site. It's an either or. And then, especially when you open it up from the departments and stuff like that, we also found that anybody can post anything. There's no governance on it, no approvals. So if somebody down in the department posts something rogue, it just shows up on the top site. And even worse, it shows up on the main SharePoint homepage. So I found out there was a whole bunch of other work that we had to do to make this thing so that it actually had some governance in it, and stuff that was way over our head. The other thing is there was no way to control what content displayed. and scheduling that content. When do I want it to appear? We had to go do everything right then. And then the other thing too is if one of those departments had like a whole bunch of news articles, or there was like 10 different news articles, they just filled up all of our news and went past the front page. And so the only way they would see the news was if they went to all news there. So we couldn't control what displayed. We couldn't control the order of it. We couldn't even schedule it to say we want this to appear next year. Next week for a certain event or something like that on the news. And again, as I said, with the sub-site, part of that and the display part of it and the governance is it rolls up everything. The departments can't say, I want this to go up to the top site, but this is really just for my group and my department as well. And as I mentioned before, this is the big thing, the no approvals. It just publishes everything, anything that's in there. And a lot of the whole concept is to get people collaborative, to be able to capture news. And that's not really the case with it. You can't do that because you get a disgruntled employee and all of a sudden they're going to be putting up bad stuff. And managing the content is clumsy, not just news, but other things. I had to go back into the back of SharePoint and actually mess around with something called site pages. And that's where we keep all of the homepage stuff that the whole site's built on. And I could have just accidentally deleted some things if we didn't set up some very stringent permissions and know how to do all that. Just a bad design. You don't mix end user content with the site pages. And then the other thing too is once that the CEO's mother has a mustache came up, it wasn't stored on the top site. It was actually on that lower level sub team site, which I didn't have access to actually change the content on. And so not only did it pop up everywhere, but I couldn't change it until I found the person that actually had the capability to do that as well. So no control of this content from anywhere. And if you have an emergency that you have to get rid of something, good luck as well. And it was just embarrassing. Embarrassing that these people caught that and I didn't think of it. I was so happy that I had a cool site up there and I didn't realize it was really kind of a hollow shell when it came to content management and governance. And the same thing I found out with events. There's really no governance or no audience targeting. What if we have multiple offices? We have an office in San Francisco and an office in Boston. And, the Boston office didn't care about the San Francisco news that was out there related to smoke and you have to wear face masks there. They want to see stuff that's related to Boston. So, and even events, something that's happening at the San Francisco office, the Boston people don't care about, but I can't target them. There's no targeting. There's no calendar view. That's kind of like, wow, what are they thinking? And then finally, links. There's some. I didn't have links on our site, but I found out that links are there for everybody too. You can't filter them. You can't say show these links to these people. And I can only change them on the page. There's no list behind them like the old promoted links we used to have, and no personalization. And what it really comes down to is, Microsoft kind of gave me the impression that I could just go build a full intranet with this, and I don't need to be a SharePoint expert or anything like that. And that's not really the case. It's really what we really have with the communication site and the modern sites. It's a nice page builder, and it is. It's way better than I heard it used to be, but there's very little function and structure behind it when it comes to governance and content management. So the result of all of this is, I kind of put myself out there and said, hey, I can build this stuff, no problem. And assuming, kind of believing Microsoft that everything was there. But in essence, what I found was that it's really it's the tools, but I didn't know about all the content management and other things behind it, and it really ended up with egg on my face because I didn't think about controlling content. I didn't think about the governance, all that type of thing as well. So I think what we're going to do is we looked at a product that was very interesting before this, and I suggested I could go do it myself, from SP Marketplace. And I realize now that they actually thought it through. And they've taken the best of the communication site, of the page building and everything else, but also put in place all the components and lists and stuff in back of it as well, so that there's full governance, full content management, and it extends not just to the intranet site, but also all of their departments and how that interacts as well. So let me show you what we ended up moving to. Okay, so before I did the communication site, we actually were looking at a third-party intranet kind of portal and department portals and all that type of thing. And I decided, I could build this stuff myself. But in reality, I found out it was a nightmare, that really the basic communication site required a lot of extra work to add what we needed to run it. And the company we looked at, SP Marketplace, has already done that. So we ended up purchasing the SP Marketplace intranet. And it uses communication sites, it uses team sites, but think about, actually having it pre-done so that all the governance is there, all the content management is there, it's pre-thought out. These guys have done a great job of really equipping the basic SharePoint sites and thought through all of that. And it would have taken me a year, in fact I don't even know if I knew how to do it, to actually do that to a communication site. So this is what we ended up with, and now I have a communication site that I trust that we can control the content, that we can actually manage it, we can have approvals and so on. And this is what it looks like. And what they've done is they've actually not just added things to the pages, but they've added lists and libraries behind the scenes where I can control things. There's a content manager dashboard and so on. So let's take a look at what they've provided. First of all, what I really love is that in the communication site, they had links, but they were just links you put in on the front page, and there was no control over, what links people saw or how long the links were going to be displayed or not displayed. It was very much just like a simple web page, web part for links. What SP Marketplace has done is they actually brought back the old promoted links that was in SharePoint that is actually based off of a list. And in that list, you can actually have hyperlinks, you can have the images that you want, but more importantly, you can actually say when you want these links displayed, during what time periods, this week, next week, couple days. And you can even say filter it to the person coming in and saying, what links should they see. And what our users really like here is the My Links feature. They can actually go in and say what links they want to appear when they come in. It's like personalized links. So now they can get to their dashboard, their email, calendar, those type of things. And in fact, one of the things that we really like is they don't have to go to this app launcher anymore. I mean, they actually can get to the things that they want to get to right here, and it's actually dynamically filtered to the person coming in. Now let's go back down to the news area here. And SP Marketplace does not use the standard news thing that Microsoft has because of the issues that we actually saw. But we can display news in different ways. We can capture news from outside sources like feeds. Here's something from HR that they actually sent up here that's mixed with this as well. And the nice thing is we can add news articles up at the top level. We can pull, or actually the departments push information, and they only push what they think is going to be important to our users. So it doesn't pull all the information from their news. It's only what HR, for instance, this is a new hire, they want to announce to the company. But there's other things in the HR department news that stays down in the HR department. So selective pushing up of news from the operation as well. And it even goes in, and for instance, I'm in Penn Valley office and can filter and target specific news to me by who I am coming in here. So complete change as far as what we can do with news. We still get the benefit of news coming up from the organization, but we fully control it, and it gets approved before it gets posted. Here, I'll show you in a minute the content management dashboard. One of the things that we didn't find in the communication site was an announcements capability. And because there's news here, but there's also announcements that are just informational announcements. And what I really love about this is it's kept in a list. It actually can be pushed up from the different parts of the organization or put up at the top here. But you see these little icons. This one's an alert. It's a level of announcement that will automatically generate an alert email to everybody or a group you wish to see. Events here is great. One thing that SP Marketplace adds is I can actually go look at these events in a calendar view, which is not available in the communication or the modern interface. We just added a tweets web part, and then also we added a Power BI web part, which is more of a KPI type of thing for the page here. So overall, we can now go in and know that somebody's not going to post, your mother, the CEO's mother has a mustache, as well as post, have control over what events and so on. In fact, they roll up not just news, but they can actually push up announcements and events from those departments down below. Now, if I were to go in here and edit this, we're going to find that they actually added a whole bunch of different web parts here. So one of these web parts is like these links. Instead of just having one way to show links, it actually can go in and it actually uses a list called promoted links, so I can actually control what's on there without having to edit it right on the page and add the links. But I can even go in and change how it is shown right here and be in full control of that, even the height, background color, all of that as well too. And again, I can pull it from any list that I want that is what's called a promoted links list. And the My Links is great because this is actually something that our users can go in and there's actually an icon called Select My Links that you can show out here that users can go in and select from a whole bunch of links that you've put into, think of it as a links catalog. And now I can see my own links out here too. Even company news out here, you can see that I can have for everybody. I can show it for just office location or departments. In this, you could have a couple of different web parts showing here, and you can suggest the number of and control the number of news items. And I'll show you in just a minute. You can actually control when they appear. What week, pre-schedule them, and so on as well. So these are all web parts put in by SP Marketplace and added into it. And there's a number of other ones too. Now, here's the really cool part. On the sites, if we wanted to take a look at, say, IT support down there, what we'll see is that the IT support site has announcements, events, and those type of things. And if we were to go in and add a new announcement or a news item down here, here's department news. Each department has news. As well. In fact, their departments are really cool because they've got all this stuff pre-built. It links in with groups and teams as well. And there's even an employee portal that is kind of a service portal for employees, say for IT, where they can submit cases, do useful docs, and all of this. This is actually the actual template as well. But on their actual news items here, they can actually go in and put in a news item, but then check off a box that says, this particular one I want to push up to that intranet. So rather than just pulling everything from the site up to the intranet, which can, you get a lot of sites out there, you're going to have 100 different news items and you'll miss them because they'll just roll over each other. You're putting only the ones that is relevant to the top level of the organization. So let's go back up to that top intranet site and see how managers can manage content. Okay, here we are at the top level. Now, by the way, the menu structure here, one of the other complaints I had about the standard sites is everybody saw everything. And with SP Marketplace, you can actually apply audiences. So for instance, I happen to be the intranet administrator and I'm the content manager. And so I can go here to the content dashboard instead of having to go back into site contents and mess with, back-end SharePoint. I now have a dashboard. And in fact, it's not just having the dashboard to be able to put in new content, but I can also see any content that has been pushed up from a department. So here's one that says Employee of the Month gets a new Dodge Hellcat. Well, I suspect that this is a rogue one. And you notice it didn't just boom appear like the Mother CEO mustache one. I'm able to actually see it. In fact, I got an alert on my email that it was ready for approval, pumped up by one of the departments. And so I can actually go in here, edit this, and this is actually all rich formatted text. But I go in here, I can do a few things. First of all, it doesn't publish until I approve it. Okay. Second, I can also target it. So I can say, is this for a particular office? Is it for everyone? as well, and I can put in either a department or an office here. And then I can also state when I want it to appear and expire from the site. So I have full content management control. And again, I can add announcements anytime I want. I can actually go in and add new company links and promoted links, and I can say which ones I want to appear and who should see them. There's actually over on other things like quick links that we have built in for all your office locations and frequently asked questions and so on. And so SP Marketplace, I was able to get a communication site that was pre-built out, not a hollow shell, kind of like the basic site was that I ran into problems with, but a full built out site that had full content management, content governance, additional content type of things like announcements that we needed and calendars, and also targeted audiences and so on, and even a nice dashboard so I didn't have to go back and mess with site pages and other things like that. It's like they finished off what communication sites should have been in the first place, and the same thing goes even with the department sites out here. So end your nightmare. Take a look at what SP Marketplace has for SP Intranet. It's like a enhanced communication site built out to as it should be. They have not just an intranet. They have a whole set of department portals and fully built out portals for different functions of your organization. So check it out. They have videos, they have information, and so on spmarketplace.com. Don't get caught in the communication site nightmare without being able to enhance it with SP Marketplace.